Y'all, stop what you're doing because the rap game just got flipped upside down. What started off as a friendly lyrical rivalry has now spiraled into one of the biggest betrayals hip-hop has ever seen. We're talking industry-level sabotage, secret meetings behind closed doors, and a betrayal so deep it's got fans questioning everything they thought they knew about Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and even Universal Music Group itself. Word on the street is, UMG, Drake's own label, just turned their back on him in the middle of his beef with Kendrick. And guess who's allegedly pulling the strings behind the scenes? That's right, Kendrick Lamar. The same Kendrick who's been eerily quiet after that Atomic Not Like Us diss may have just pulled off the ultimate power play, turning the entire industry against. Drizzy sources close to the situation claim contracts were altered, exclusive deals were offered, and Drake got left out in the cold by the very label that made him a global superstar. And now, insiders say Drake's circle is imploding. His trust is broken. And his empire is shaking. This isn't just music beef anymore. This is betrayal on a billion-dollar level. Stay locked in, cause what you're about to hear next is unreal. It all started one quiet night in Toronto when Drake, fresh off a studio session, got a strange call. Not from his manager, not from a producer, but from someone inside the building at Universal Music Group. They didn't say much, just whispered, "Watch your back. Moves are being made without you." Drake laughed it off at first. He's heard it all before, right? Jealousy, sabotage, clout chasers. Nothing new. But this one felt different. This was personal. Fast forward 24 hours later, and boom, Kendrick Lamar announces a secret partnership with a top executive at UMG. No press release. No major rollout. Just a quiet behind-the-scenes shift that sent chills through the industry. Insiders claim this new alliance gave Kendrick exclusive access to high-level distribution power, promotional leverage, and even veto rights on certain release windows, something only a few chosen artists have ever been granted. Now here's the real kicker. Sources say Drake had no idea. None. He found out like the rest of us, on social media. Imagine being the golden child of the label for over a decade and finding out. Your biggest rival just got handed the keys to the kingdom. Without so much as a heads dash up. Emotions ran high inside Drake's camp. 40 was reportedly furious. "This is a setup," he allegedly told Drake. "They trying to silence you from the inside." OVO insiders claim Drake confronted his label rep that same night, asking point blank, "Did y'all know about this Kendrick move?" And the rep allegedly just shrugged. "It's business, not personal." Fans were shocked. They took to Twitter, Threads, and TikTok, flooding timelines with conspiracy theories. Some believed Kendrick had been plotting this since the Control verse. Others think this is payback for Drake's dominance over the last decade. But one thing was clear: the energy had shifted. And the label was no longer protecting Drake the way they used to. Then came the next twist. A leaked email, supposedly from a UMG executive, surfaced on a burner account. The email, if real, suggests the label was actively limiting promo budgets for Drake's upcoming releases, funneling resources toward Kendrick's next drop instead. The internet went wild. OVO fans cried foul, claiming this was a corporate coup. Drake stans said it felt like being stabbed in the back by family. Meanwhile, Kendrick remained silent. No tweets, no posts, just calm, calculated silence. And that only made things worse, because now people started saying maybe he knew this was going to happen. Maybe he's been working with UMG behind the scenes to slowly push Drake out of the picture. Imagine that, the same label that built Drake into a megastar, now plotting his downfall with his greatest rival. And as the rumors grew louder, so did the tension between both camps. Insiders say OVO's offices went into full lockdown mode. Meetings were being held in private apartments instead of studios. Phone calls were cut short. Drake even started showing up to events with fewer people. Some say he didn't know who to trust anymore. But the betrayal didn't stop there. In what fans are calling one of the coldest moves in music history, UMG, ALLEGEDLY, canceled a major international tour that Drake had in the works just weeks before announcement. The reason? Internal restructuring. But insiders are saying it's deeper than that. They say the tour dates clashed with Kendrick's upcoming rollout. And guess who had the final say? That same exec who's now backing Kendrick. Family members close to Drake say he's been keeping quiet, but behind closed doors, the man is devastated. One source close to his mother said he thought he was irreplaceable. He thought they'd never turn on him. This cut deeper than any diss track ever could. It's not just a label thing either. Fans started noticing a slow exodus from Team Drake. Playlists that used to feature him front and center, now pushing Kendrick. Late-night shows suddenly booking different guests. Even A-list producers who once bragged about working with Drake, now tweeting cryptic things like loyalty means nothing in this game. And then came the public response. A handful of Drake's longtime friends began posting throwback pictures and vague captions. One post from an OVO-affiliated artist read, "Funny how fast people forget who fed them." People are now speculating that internal loyalty is cracking. One fan even made a viral timeline mapping out everyone who's unfollowed Drake in the past 3 months. It's a long list, but here's where it gets even messier. According to an anonymous producer who claims to have been in the room during a recent Kendrick session, Kendrick isn't just sitting back. It's allegedly working on an entire project based on the fall of the empire, not so subtle jab at OVO. And guess what? The project is said to include guest features from artists who were once Team Drake. The streets are calling it the Blacklist tape. And if the rumors are true, it's about to get ugly. As Drake tries to regroup, insiders say he's exploring his exit strategy. He still owes one more album under his current deal with UMG. But now there are whispers that he's trying to buy out his contract early. One source claims he offered to return millions in royalties just to get free. But sensing his vulnerability, allegedly upped the price. They know he wants out tanned. They're playing hardball. This ain't just a beef. This is a full-blown industry war. And Drake, he's no longer fighting from the top. He's fighting from the shadows, trying to reclaim power in a game that's now being played without him. But just when you thought it couldn't get more twisted, a familiar name pops back up in the middle of it all. Someone who's been quiet for years. Someone with a long history with both Kendrick and Drake. Yes, we're talking about J. Cole. And that's exactly where part 2 picks up. Because what happens next, nobody saw coming. Cole's entrance changes everything. The alliances shift, the narratives flip. And someone ends up getting exposed. Stay locked in. The moment J. Cole's name hit the timeline, the internet froze. Fans who were still reeling from the Kendrick and Drake chaos suddenly had a new question: whose side is Cole on? He'd been quiet, too quiet. No interviews, no tweets, not even a birthday post. And in this game, silence speaks volumes. Rumors started swirling fast. Some said Cole had been in meetings with both camps, acting as the so-called middleman, trying to squash the beef. Others said he was just watching, waiting, calculating his next move. But then, out of nowhere, Cole drops a mysterious verse on an unreleased track that leaks to SoundCloud. No title, no cover art, just raw bars. And that's when the internet exploded. They turned kings into targets, friends into bargains. Watched the crown slide down while they sharpened the margins. Fans instantly started decoding the lyrics. Was Cole throwing shade at Drake? Was he calling out Kendrick? Or was he calling out both of them? Either way, one thing was clear. Cole wasn't staying out of it anymore. And Drake, oh, he heard it, loud and clear. Insiders say he texted Cole the night the track leaked. Not angry, not confrontational, just one word. Really? Cole allegedly left the message on read. The silence said it all. And here's where things start getting real. Messy. People close to Cole say he's been sitting on receipts. Old convos, texts, voice memos, all from the early days when he was tight with both Kendrick and Drake. Back when all three were the top of the game and the idea of beef seemed impossible. But somewhere along the way, things changed. Cole allegedly felt like both of them played him. That famous first-person shooter track. Sources say Cole didn't even know he was being used to bait Kendrick. He thought it was love, unity. Instead, he became a pawn in their war end. He didn't forget it. Now Cole's reappearing with a plan. According to one music exec, he's been quietly building a collective. Not a label, not a gang, a movement. Something to rival both UVO and Pidgealong. And the most shocking part? Artists are flocking to him. People who used to be under Kendrick's wing. People who Drake once shouted out. They're all sliding into Cole's orbit. And this has Drake panicking. Remember how we mentioned he was trying to exit his own deal? Well, now it makes sense. Sources claim Drake doesn't just want out. He wants to go independent, to build his own empire from scratch. No labels, no middlemen, just Drake, his music, and his fans. But the timing couldn't be worse. Because while he's trying to secure his freedom, Cole's gaining power and Kendrick's stacking ammo. Then came the night of the private party in Los Angeles. No cameras, no press, just select people from the industry. And guess who was spotted in the same room for the first time in years? Kendrick and J. Cole. No one knows what was said. But according to someone who worked the event, the energy was tense. They didn't hug, they didn't laugh. It's just a few minutes of whispered conversation. Then they went their separate ways. But here's where it gets even spicier. The very next day, Drake's team announced he'd be delaying his next release. No reason given, no new date. Fans were confused, but insiders weren't. According to leaks, he delayed because someone close to him warned that Kendrick and Cole might be dropping a joint track. Something designed to drown out whatever Drake had in the pipeline. Imagine that. Your two biggest rivals possibly teaming up on a record, just to sabotage your comeback. And if you think Drake took that lightly, think again. Back at the OVO compound, it was chaos. Team members arguing, some saying they needed to fire back immediately. Others telling Drake to chill, to wait, to drop the album regardless. But Drake reportedly snapped during one meeting, slamming his phone down and yelling, "They want to make me the villain? Fine, I'll give M1. That line spread like wildfire. The OVO camp started calling it the villain era. Dark aesthetics, ominous teasers. Drake even posted a cryptic Instagram story. They made me cold. But fans weren't entirely buying it. Some started turning on him, calling him petty, saying he was acting like a sore loser. Others remained loyal, but even they were asking the hard questions. How did this happen? How did the most powerful artist in the game end up backed into a corner? And while all this unfolded, Kendrick dropped a bombshell. An interview. For the first time in months, Kendrick sat down for a quiet, intimate talk with a respected West Coast journalist. He didn't name names, but his message was clear. Loyalty. Don't mean nothing if you're only loyal to power, he said, looking dead into the camera. I seen people switch for less. I ain't here for none of that. Fans went crazy. OVO fans were mad. Pidgealong fans were celebrating. And Cole fans were waiting, itching for his next move. But then something totally unexpected happened. A second email leaked, and this one. It was explosive. Allegedly sent by a former UMG employee. The email detailed a secret deal proposed months ago, a truce package. An offer for Drake and Kendrick to split upcoming festival appearances, co-headline a world tour, and publicly squash the beef. And guess what? Drake declined. That's right. It's the man who now feels betrayed was offered a way out. A way to avoid all of this. And he said no. Why? Because, according to the email, he said he wasn't done proving a point yet. That leak changed everything. Suddenly, fans weren't so sure who the villain really was. Maybe Drake chose war. Maybe Kendrick and Cole just adapted to survive. The timeline was split. Group chats were lit. Fan pages began arguing with each other in comment sections like it was civil war, and through it all, Drake stayed silent. He didn't address the email, didn't speak on Cole, didn't respond to Kendrick's interview. But behind the scenes, sources say he was preparing something bigger than music, something personal, because according to people in his inner circle, Drake was about to break an unspoken rule of the industry. And that's where part 3 picks up. What does Drake have planned? And how does his next move threaten to blow the lid off secrets the industry has been hiding for years? When the whispers started, most people didn't believe it. Nah, one fan tweeted, "Drake would never go that far." But oh, he did. Because when you push a man with everything to lose into a corner, he doesn't just fight back, he destroys. And that's exactly what Drake was preparing to do. It started with an encrypted post on a private OVO Discord server. One known only to close insiders and a handful of diehard fans. The post had no caption, just a single zip file titled retribution.zip. It was quickly deleted. But of course, screenshots hit the web in seconds. Fans were screaming. What was in the ZIP file? Lyrics, diss tracks, something deeper. Turns out it was way deeper, because days later, an anonymous SoundCloud account dropped a track that sounded eerily like Kendrick Lamar. Only this wasn't just music. It was raw audio, allegedly recorded off the mic during a closed door PG long meeting. KendricksVoice.com, but cold, was heard saying, "I told him, let him drown. He made his bed, now let him lie in it." Now, we can't confirm the authenticity of the audio. Even today, no one stepped up to verify it. But the internet didn't care. It spread like wildfire. Fans labeled it the betrayal tape. OVO supporters used it as proof that Kendrick was never about unity. That he'd been gunning for Drake behind the scenes this whole time. But Drake wasn't done. Because if Kendrick and Cole wanted to test him, he was ready to burn the whole game down. Rumors started flying that Drake was preparing an Expose album. Not just disses, but full-on confessions. One long track, allegedly, breaks down the politics of UMG, exposes backroom payola deals, and calls out names, including one major female artist who's currently topping the charts. Another track, titled "They Switched for the Streams," allegedly has voice messages from producers who worked on both Kendrick and Cole projects, talking reckless behind the scenes. This wasn't music beef anymore. This was evidence. Industry insiders started panicking. Lawyers were getting involved. Cease and desist letters were allegedly sent to OVO before anything even dropped. When something unexpected happened, Cole spoke up on an Instagram Live that fans are now calling the midnight message. J. Cole appeared out of nowhere. He looked tired, serious, not his usual calm self. And after a long pause, he said, "Look, I ain't perfect, but I never stabbed nobody in the back. Some people just can't take being challenged. That's not betrayal. That's growth." The comments exploded. "Cole just called Drake weak without saying it," one fan wrote. "Tired of babysitting? Egos." But the live didn't end there, because J. Cole also revealed something that shocked even his own fans. He said he'd tried to mediate between Drake and Kendrick over a year ago. He even flew to Toronto, sat down with Drake privately, and offered a plan to drop a joint project, 3 tracks, no disses, just real rap. The goal? Remind the culture what it's really about, Cole said. But Drake allegedly declined. He wanted all or nothing. And now, according to Cole, he got his nothing. That line hit hard. Blogs ran with it. Fan accounts clipped it and looped it. And suddenly, the narrative started shifting again. Was Drake really the victim? Or had he just alienated everyone who ever tried to help him? Then came the real dagger. A trusted source inside PG Long leaked that Kendrick and Cole were in the final stages of releasing a surprise joint EP, just like the rumors said. Only this time, the name of the project was revealed. It's called Family Ties, Funeral Lines. The title alone sends shockwaves through the internet. Fans dissected it instantly. Family Ties, a nod to loyalty, history, and old alliances. Funeral lines, bars meant to bury someone lyrically. A target. Obviously Drake. But here's where it got really twisted. Apparently. One of the songs contains a voicemail from Drake's father, allegedly lifted from an old interview or private phone call. And that voicemail reportedly says, "Sometimes your own people become strangers. Sometimes success blinds you to real love." Okay? Now, the legality of using that audio is being questioned. Okay? And Drake's team is said to be threatening lawsuits if it ever sees the light of day. But the fact that it's even rumored to exist has OVO insiders shook. They're coming for his legacy, one source said. They don't just want to beat him, they want to erase him. At this point, the industry is fractured. Major labels are picking sides. Spotify and Apple Music are being accused of playing favoritism with playlists. Influencers and bloggers are being offered bags to push certain narratives. Even fashion brands are pulling partnerships from OVO affiliates. Quietly behind the scenes, Drake's circle is smaller than ever. Sources say he's been having private meetings with Elon Musk and a few tech investors, possibly to launch his own platform. Music, merch, content, all on his own terms. The goal? No more middlemen, no more betrayal. But that move alone has made some execs nervous. If Drake goes independent and pulls his entire catalog, it could shift billions away from streaming platforms. It's war. Not just cultural, but economic. And through all of this, Kendrick has been dropping cryptic hints. He posted an Instagram story with just 2 emojis, a chess piece and a skull. No caption. Fans interpreted it as checkmate, death to the old guard. Drake. Meanwhile, he's gearing up for what he's calling the last address, a final message to the world before everything changes. Insiders say it's not just music. It's a film, a short doc, maybe even a tell-all. No one really knows what it is. But apparently, it ends with a single sentence that will change everything. But before he can drop it, one more twist drops into the game. A name that's been silent for months suddenly resurfaces. A name that Drake has history with. A name that the world never expected to jump in. Rihanna. Because according to someone close to her team, Rihanna has been quietly watching everything, and she's not happy with any of them. Apparently, she feels like the ego wars are damaging the culture she helped elevate. And get this, she's allegedly working on a statement, or maybe a song, that addresses all of it. Yes, all of it. Drake, Kendrick, Cole, the industry. The betrayal. She might be the one to restore balance, or light a whole new fire as the world waited for Drake's final move. The industry felt like it was holding its breath. Everything was frozen. Labels weren't releasing anything major. Spotify curated a rap and limbo playlist that was suspiciously missing all 3, Drake, Kendrick, and J. Cole. Blogs were quiet. Artists were tiptoeing around interviews. It was like a storm was coming. And nobody wanted to get caught in the splash zone. Then, out of nowhere, the first shot hit. Midnight. PG Lang's official YouTube channel uploads a short film titled Family Ties. Funeral Lines, Prelude. It's 7 minutes long, no music, just visuals. Black and white footage of Kendrick walking through a museum filled with wax figures of rap icons. As he walks, their heads slowly turn to watch him. The final shot. A wax statue of Drake, slowly melting under a spotlight. No words, just silence. And that silence, it was louder than any diss track. By 1 a.m., Twitter was in chaos. OVO stans calling it disrespectful, PG Long fans calling it art, and Cole's fanbase just laughing in the corner, waiting to see where it lands. Hashtags like hashtag melted Drake and hashtag Kendrick AINT done started trending worldwide. But Drake wasn't going to sit back and take that. He'd been quiet too long. And when the clock hit 6 a.m., he finally spoke. He dropped a short doc on his own private platform, Drizzy Live. Titled The Real Ones Know? It was 20 minutes of pure, raw, unedited emotion. Him talking to the camera, no background music, no flashy edits. It's just Drake, in his mansion, eyes heavy, voice cracking. They tried to erase me, he says at one point. Like I wasn't. The soundtrack to their come up. Like I ain't put them on my stage, give them my audience. They forgot who opened the door, but the fans didn't. And then he starts naming names. Not in anger, but in hurt. He says Cole switched up without warning. Says Kendrick used silence like a weapon. Even accuses UMG of quietly assassinating my legacy from the inside. But the real bomb, Drake reads a letter. A handwritten letter he says was from one of the top executives at UMG, dated just 2 years ago, begging him to re-sign for another 5 albums. Calling him the heartbeat of the label. The same exec who, ALLEGEDLY, now backs Kendrick's rise. You begged me to stay, Drake says, holding the paper. Now you act like I'm disposable. The internet loses it. Screenshots of the letter flood TikTok and Threads. Fans demand a response from UM. Lawyers from the label say they're looking into it, but the damage is done. For the first time, the mainstream is seeing the business side of the betrayal. And it's ugly. Meanwhile, Cole drops a surprise freestyle on YouTube. No warning. It's called Double Edge. And in it, he takes shots at both sides. King of what? A broken kingdom / one man builds. The other bleeds from / wounds he made himself, screamin' freedom. Fans call it the Switzerland freestyle. Some say it's neutral. Others say Cole's positioning himself as the true adult in the room. Either way, he's making sure no one forgets he's still in control of his own narrative. But the true nuke drops the next day. Rihanna posts, after months of silence. She finally breaks her calm with a single Instagram reel. A slow-motion clip of her walking into a studio. No caption, no tags. It's just a microphone in the background and the faint sound of drums. The internet loses its mind. Within an hour, rumors swirl that Rihanna is cooking up a track titled Higher Ground, and that it might feature both Kendrick and Cole. But here's the twist. Not Drake. And this sends the timeline into an absolute frenzy. Because everyone remembers Drake and Rihanna's long, messy history. The public love, the awkward award shows, the unfollowing, the rumors. Now, she's siding musically with his 2 biggest rivals. People start calling it the final betrayal. But according to people close to her, Rihanna's move isn't about shade, it's about balance. She reportedly wants to end the drama with a song that reminds everyone why they fell in love with the culture in the first place. Bars, soul, truth. But Drake sees it differently. He posts on his story that night, loyalty is a one-way street. When you ain't driven, no tags, no name. But everyone knew who it was aimed at. And Rihanna, she don't respond. Just leaves the clip up. No caption needed, Kendrick. Meanwhile, drops the official Funeral Lines track at 11:59 p.m. It's 5 minutes of pure venom. No hooks, no features. Just Kendrick spitting with surgical precision. 10 years on top but couldn't build. A bridge / now you sit in your castle while we torchin' where you live. The bars are cold, direct, and full of double meanings that fans are still trying to decode. Some say he hinted at unreleased collabs Drake blocked. Others say there's a secret verse that didn't make the cut. And it names names. The industry reacts instantly. Award shows start panicking. Execs cancel interviews. And Spotify crashes literally from the traffic of fans rushing to stream Kendrick's new drop. But just when you think it's over, Drake fires back. At exactly 3:33 a.m., he drops a voice memo. Just his voice, raw, no beat, no edits. If y'all want to bury me, do it right. Put me in a gold casket with a mic in my hand and a billion streams engraved on the side. Just don't act like you made me bleed. I've been bleeding for this culture since I was 15. And then silence, no outro. No fade out, just pain, by the time the sun rises. Fans are divided. Some say Drake finally snapped. Others say he reclaimed his throne. Some call Kendrick the new king. Others say Cole's the last real one standing. And then there are those who think Rihanna might be the only voice left with the power to bring peace, as of now. No side has officially declared the war over. But one thing is certain. This wasn't just about rap. It was about legacy, loyalty, power, and survival. And maybe, just maybe, the game will never be the same again. So now we're here. The dust hasn't settled. The shots keep firing, and the lines between friend and foe have been completely erased. What started as bars between two legends has unraveled into one of the most chaotic, personal, and strategic battles the rap industry has ever seen. Drake, once untouchable, now standing alone. His back against the wall, his pen bleeding truth, his legacy hanging in the balance. He's made it clear if they want war, he's not backing down. But at what cost? Kendrick colder, quieter, and more calculated than ever. He didn't just come for Drake's crown. He came for the entire empire. And now, with Cole by his side and Rihanna possibly stepping in, he just might reshape the game from the inside out. J. Cole, no longer the neutral observer. His moves prove he's done babysitting egos and staying silent for the sake of peace. If anything, he's playing the smartest game of all, letting the kings fall while he builds the new throne. And Rihanna, she might be the key to ending it all, or igniting something even bigger. One thing is certain, the industry will never be the same after this. The fans are divided, the labels are rattled, and the world is watching. But what do you think? Drake really the victim or the villain? Is Kendrick taking the W or going too far? Is Cole playing chess while everyone else fights over checkers? And will Rihanna's return save the culture or set it on fire? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Like this video if you think we need more truth in the industry. Subscribe if you want the uncut tea before anyone else. And don't forget, this is far from over. We'll be watching. Stay tuned.